All right, get ready to dive into wave energy today. This is a topic was requested by one of our listeners and falls under our Beyond the Categories section. I think it's going to be a really fascinating one to explore.
Yeah.
This is an energy source that is a powerful resource that often gets overlooked.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating one. And what's so cool about it is that we're essentially harnessing nature's energy,
Right.
just in a roundabout way. So the sun creates wind, wind whips up waves, and those waves have so much energy just waiting to be tapped.
And this isn't just some far out idea, right? This is part of a whole category of energy called marine energy. I remember reading that it encompasses not just wave energy, but also energy from tides and ocean temperatures.
Right.
So, what makes wave energy stand out from all of these other ocean based stories?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's that whole family of ocean-based energy sources.
Okay.
What's intriguing about wave energy, though, is its consistency. Unlike, let's say, solar or wind energy, which are the mercy of weather patterns.
Yeah, they're a little bit finicky.
Yes, they are.
If it's not sunny or if it's not windy, you're kind of out of luck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But waves, on the other hand, they're constantly rolling in,
Okay.
driven by the persistent wind patterns and weather systems.
I- so, no matter what the weather's like on land, the ocean is always working. That's really reassuring, especially given how much we need reliable, clean energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the ocean is doing its thing, but how do we actually get from the motion of a wave to like plugging in to power up our phones?
Well,
I always think of those bobbing devices I see in videos, but I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than that.
yeah, those bobbing devices, they're often called point absorbers. They're definitely part of it.
Okay.
But it's helpful to think of it as a three-step process. So first, you have to capture the wave's energy and convert that motion into mechanical energy.
Okay.
And finally, transmit that energy as electricity.
So there's a whole choreography going on here.
There is.
What are some of the most innovative ways engineers are tackling these steps?
So one technology that really captures the imagination is called the oscillating water column.
Interesting.
Picture this, a partially submerged chamber with an opening below the waterline.
Okay.
I'm picturing as the waves crash in, they force air upward, creating pressure that drives a turbine.
It's almost like a giant whistle being blown by the ocean.
Exactly.
That creates energy.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
So we have this air-powered approach, and then we have the buoys going up and down, those point absorbers we talked about.
Right.
So what else is there?
Well, that was just one method.
Yeah, okay.
Another fascinating approach is the attenuator.
All right, tell me more.
Imagine a long segmented structure that sinks along the wave surface.
I'm picturing it.
As the wave passes, the segments flex and bend, capturing that energy and converting it into electricity.
So almost like a giant sea snake riding the waves, generating power with every movement.
You got it.
Wow. It's amazing to think about all these different devices, each with its own way of interacting with the waves.
Yeah,
It really highlights the creativity in this field
it really does.
and is all driven by the potential benefits, right? Unlike fossil fuels, this is clean and renewable.
Exactly. It's fueled by the sun, which is a pretty much limitless power source.
Okay, so clean and renewable, but is this like a tiny trickle of power? Or could it be a serious contender in the energy game?
It's definitely not just a drop in the ocean.
I get your play on words. Okay,
Wave energy has this surprisingly high energy density. This means it can generate more power per square meter than many other renewable sources.
so it's packing a punch.
It is. In fact, some studies suggest that wave energy could potentially meet a significant portion of global energy demands.
Wow, that's impressive. Almost too good to be true.
Yes.
Are there any downsides?
Well, you're right to question that. Every technology has its limitations. One of the main hurdles facing wave energy is the initial investment.
So the cost.
Yeah. It's a relatively new technology, and the costs of, research, development, and installation can be significant.
So those upfront costs are a barrier. What else is holding back wave energy from becoming more mainstream?
Well, another big challenge is the durability of these devices.
Okay.
The ocean is tough, waves are relentless, salt water is corrosive, and then you have storms.
Yeah, talk about a hostile work environment.
It is. You've seen those videos on YouTube.
It makes you appreciate how nature has been harnessing wave energy for millennia. And you were just trying to catch up.
Oh, yeah.
But even with those challenges, there's a sense that wave energy has arrived. What are some of the most exciting developments happening in this field?
One of the really inspiring things is that researchers are always working on new materials and designs to tackle those cost and durability concerns.
Okay.
They're experimenting with innovative materials like high-strength composites and advanced coatings to protect against corrosion and wear.
So making these devices tougher and able to last longer.
Exactly.
It's a constant back and forth, right, between the power of the ocean and our ability to design devices that can handle it.
It's a dance.
So what else is driving this momentum?
Well, there's a growing awareness of the urgency of climate change and the need to move away from fossil fuels.
Right, that's a big one.
It is. And governments and private investors around the world are starting to recognize the potential of wave energy and put resources into it.
It really seems like wave energy is riding a wave of its own,
I like that.
a wave of innovation and investment.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
So who are the front runners in this wave energy revolution? What countries or regions are leading the charge?
Well, it's natural that countries with extensive coastlines and a history of maritime innovation are taking the lead.
Okay, that makes sense.
The United Kingdom, for example, with its long and rugged coastline exposed to the powerful Atlantic, has been a pioneer in wave energy.
Yeah, the UK seems like a natural fit.
They've already launched some really impressive pilot projects and are paving the way for larger scale deployments.
What about other parts of the world? Any surprises?
Australia, with its massive coastline and tons of wave resources, is another big player.
That makes sense.
They've been investing heavily, recognizing its potential to really contribute to their renewable energy mix.
It's interesting to see how different regions are approaching this.
It is. And then you have Portugal.
Portugal.
Yes, Portugal is a country with a long seafaring tradition. They have emerged as a wave energy leader.
Oh, wow.
They actually have several commercial scale wave energy projects up and running, feeding clean electricity into the grid.
It's encouraging to see that it's not just one or two countries experimenting. There's a global recognition of wave energy's potential.
Absolutely. And as more countries get involved, we'll see even more innovation and hopefully cost will come down.
It's a global race towards a more sustainable future, and wave energy is definitely in the running. It really makes you wonder, where could all of this lead? What would a world powered by wave energy actually look like?
It's a question that sparks the imagination. Doesn't it just picture coastlines not just as scenic landscapes, but also as vibrant hubs of clean energy production?
Okay, I'm trying to picture it. What else might change?
Well, we could see coastal communities transformed, becoming energy self-sufficient thanks to the power of the ocean.
That's amazing.
We could see bustling ports powered by the very waves that lap at their shores.
Wow.
It's really a vision of a future where we've harnessed the power of nature in a way that works for both us and the planet.
It's definitely a future worth striving for.
It is.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part, so should I say navigated some nautical miles. From the basics of wave energy to the challenges and opportunities it brings.
We've looked at the creative technologies, the global momentum behind wave energy, and even glimpsed into a future where it could be a pillar of a sustainable world.
I think it's been fascinating.
It has.
Before we wrap up this part of our podcast, I want to leave you with something to think about. If wave energy were to become a major source of energy worldwide, how would our lives be different? How would our relationship with the ocean be transformed?
Good question.
We'll explore these questions and more in our next part as we continue our journey into the captivating world of wave energy.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to part 2 of our discussion on wave energy.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, we now know that a wave-powered future is definitely going to be exciting, but I bet some people are thinking, hold on, isn't this whole thing just way too expensive?
It's true. The upfront costs of wave energy can seem pretty daunting,
Yeah,
but it's important to remember that almost every new technology goes through a similar phase. Think about solar power a couple of decades ago.
right?
The panels were expensive, the tech was still being figured out.
Yeah,
It seemed like a long shot for it to become a major energy source.
and now look at it.
Exactly. Solar is getting more and more competitive with fossil fuels, and it's growing like crazy.
So you're saying wave energy could follow that same path?
I think so. As the technology gets better and we start producing more, those costs should come down.
Right? Economies of scale.
Exactly.
But even if the cost comes down, there are other things to think about. Like, what about the impact on marine life?
You're right. We can't just ignore the potential ecological effects of putting these devices in the ocean.
Yeah,
Responsible development is crucial.
absolutely.
We have to make sure that these technologies can work with marine ecosystems. The good news is that people are increasingly aware of these concerns,
Okay, good.
and researchers are working on minimizing any negative impacts.
So they're not just throwing these things in the ocean without thinking about the consequences?
No, not at all.
How are they designing them to be more environmentally friendly?
Well, some devices are actually being designed to attract marine life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They can act as artificial reefs, creating habitats for fish and other creatures.
That's cool.
Others are being designed to be quieter so they don't disturb marine animals with too much noise.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between getting this energy and protecting the ocean. It shows that innovation isn't just about new tech. It's about seeing the whole picture.
Absolutely.
Speaking of a global perspective, we talked about how different countries are leading in wave energy. Can we go a bit deeper into what's happening around the world?
Sure, we mentioned the United Kingdom, Australia, and Portugal.
Right.
But there's also a lot happening in places like the US, Canada, and even China.
It's amazing to see all these different locations and approaches.
It is, and it's great because it allows for testing and improving different technologies in all kinds of ocean conditions.
It's like a worldwide wave energy lab.
It is.
Are there any specific projects that you're particularly excited about?
One project that's really caught my eye is the Wave Hub off the coast of Cornwall in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
It's essentially a testing ground for wave energy tech. It is an interesting place where developers can connect their devices to the grid and see how they perform in real world conditions.
It's like a wave energy incubator.
Exactly.
What about those battery advancements? How do those fit into making wave energy more practical?
That's a key part of this.
Okay,
One of the challenges with renewables, including wave power, is that they're not always constant.
right. The waves aren't always crashing.
Exactly. So we need a way to store the energy for when we need it most.
Like a backup generator powered by the ocean.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And these battery advancements aren't just helping wave energy, they're changing the whole renewable energy landscape.
It's all connected.
It is.
Progress in one area can boost everything.
Right.
Okay, so we've looked at the tech, the environmental side, the global effort, and even batteries. But I want to bring it down to a human level.
Okay.
We hear about how wave energy can help coastal communities,
Right.
but can you paint a picture of how it could actually change people's lives?
Sure. Imagine a remote island community.
Okay.
They rely on expensive and polluting diesel generators for electricity.
Yeah, I can picture that.
The cost of fuel is a constant burden, and they worry about the environmental impact. Now, imagine that same community using the power of the waves around them.
Yeah,
Clean, affordable energy for their homes, businesses, and schools.
it's more than just a tech shift. It's a social and economic change.
Exactly. Wave energy could give these communities control over their own energy.
That's powerful.
And it's not just about islands.
Right.
Coastal cities could benefit too, relying less on fossil fuels and having a stronger energy system.
It sounds like everyone wins.
It really does.
A cleaner planet, healthier communities, and a more sustainable future. But are there any potential downsides we haven't talked about?
Perhaps one or two things.
It's important to look at all sides.
You're right. And one thing to consider is the impact on existing industries.
Okay.
As we shift to renewables, there's a risk of job losses in areas like fossil fuel extraction and power generation.
So it's not just about creating new jobs in renewable energy. It's also about making sure people in those older industries aren't left behind.
Exactly. We need to invest in retraining, create opportunities in the green economy to make sure.
Everyone benefits from this change.
Absolutely.
It's about a future that works for everyone. That's crucial.
And another challenge is making sure the benefits of wave energy are shared fairly. We need to make sure these technologies are available to everyone, not just wealthy countries.
So everyone has a chance to be part of this clean energy revolution.
Exactly. A more just and equitable energy system for all.
That's a great goal.
It is.
Well, we've covered a lot in this part. We have the potential of wave energy to change communities, the importance of protecting the environment, and the social and economic aspects of this technology.
Yes, we have.
Before we go to our final part, I want to leave you with this question. Imagine a world where wave energy is a major energy source. How would our relationship with the ocean change? How would our lives be different? We'll look at these questions and more in our final part as we explore the future of wave energy. You know, after talking about this wave-powered future, I think I'm going to look at the ocean a little differently on my next vacation.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's something captivating about watching those waves,
Right.
knowing they hold so much potential for clean energy.
Okay. So we've talked about the potential in a broad sense, but let's get into specifics.
Sure.
What are some tangible changes we might see if wave energy really takes off?
Well, one of the biggest impacts would be a major drop in greenhouse gas emissions.
Okay.
Imagine replacing those big polluting coal-fired power plants with wave energy farms.
Wow. That would be huge.
A big step toward a low-carbon future.
Absolutely. And something I think a lot of people are really hoping for. What other shifts might we see?
Well, we could see a change in how our energy systems are set up.
Okay.
Instead of relying on those massive power plants that need long transmission lines, we could move towards more localized energy production.
Okay.
Imagine coastal communities generating their own power right there from the waves.
That sounds like true energy independence.
It is. And it's not just about independence, it's also about resilience.
What do you mean?
Well, think about a coastal city hit by a hurricane. If their power comes from traditional power lines, they're vulnerable to outages.
Right. Those lines could go down.
But if they have wave energy farms offshore, those could keep running even when the regular grid fails.
So it's about having a stronger and more reliable energy system.
Exactly.
One that can handle the impacts of climate change and other problems.
Right.
Wave energy seems like it could be a game changer on so many levels,
It really could.
not just for clean energy, but for national security and community preparedness too.
It's a solution with a lot of different benefits, and let's not forget about the potential for economic growth.
Oh yeah, we touched on that earlier.
The growth of the wave energy sector would drive innovation and investment, create jobs, and boost coastal economies.
It's a win-win for the environment and the economy.
Exactly.
Okay. But I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or things we might not be thinking about? It's great to be optimistic, but we should be realistic too.
That's a good point. No technology is perfect.
Right.
One concern is the potential impact on traditional fishing grounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's important.
We need to be careful about where we place these wave energy farms to minimize any conflicts with fishing.
So, as a balancing act
It is.
between using this new energy source and respecting people's livelihoods.
Exactly. And it's crucial to involve local communities in the planning process.
Right. Make sure everyone has a voice.
Absolutely. Open communication and collaboration are essential.
Makes sense. I'm also thinking about the impact on the broader marine ecosystem.
Sure.
We've talked about designing eco-friendly devices, but are there any larger ecological concerns?
There are always some risks when you introduce new technology into the ocean.
Yeah, of course.
That's why research and monitoring are so important.
Okay.
We need to carefully look at any effects on marine life, things like noise, pollution, or changes to habitats, and make changes if we need to.
So it's about learning as we go.
Exactly. Constantly adapting to minimize any negative impacts.
It's inspiring to see that kind of careful approach, combining scientific knowledge with respect for nature.
Definitely.
It's not about trying to control the ocean, it's about working with it,
Absolutely.
understanding it, and using its power in a way that benefits us and the planet.
Well said. It's amazing that we can even think about harnessing the power of waves like this.
I know, it's incredible.
It shows that we have the potential to overcome huge challenges if we put our minds to it.
It's been an incredible journey exploring this topic.
And there's still so much to discover and explore.
Right. It's a reminder that we're actively shaping the future with the choices we make and the things we create.
Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about the future of wave energy, but it's not some far off thing. It's being shaped right now by what we do today. So, as we wrap up this podcast, I want to leave you with this.
Okay?
It's not enough to just know about wave energy.
Right.
We need to become advocates, spread the word, support the research, and push for policies that help us transition to a clean energy future.
I completely agree. We all have a part to play in making this wave-powered future a reality.
It's not just about technology, it's about our collective will to make it happen.
That's a great way to put it.
And on that note of collective action, we'll bring this discussion to a close.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of wave energy.
It's been a pleasure.